WTF, YouTube? So I woke up this morning and I checked my email, and the first thing I see is that this right here, my YouTube channel, N08, is no longer going to be eligible for a YouTube partnership, which means for some of you that you won't get the pleasure of watching ads before this video rolls, but for me it means one of the small incentives I have to produce content for this platform is being taken away from me. Let me rewind here. I posted my first video on YouTube 10 years ago this week. That was at that time I was doing a lot of circuit bending and doing funky modifications to old 80s drum machines and selling them on eBay, and I used YouTube as a place for me to demonstrate the modifications and electronics work that I've done on some of these obscure drum machines and whatnot. So I'd make videos anytime I worked on machines, and I was doing quite a bit of that at the time, which was how I actually financed putting out my records at the time. I sort of bought and sold and hustled all this gear so that I could afford to make techno records, because that's what I'm about, as my current subscriber base should well understand. So I had, I don't know how many of these videos up and running and just sort of sitting in the background for years, and I didn't even think about it. And then one day, probably 7 or 8 years ago, I get an email that from YouTube that, lo and behold, I had met their threshold of 100,000 views, and I was now eligible to become a YouTube partner. And I thought, wow, this is pretty amazing. Like, just had a bunch of stuff I'd done anyway up there on this platform, and you know, some folks are paying attention to it, and that's pretty cool. And you know, I can pick up a little pocket change every day from people checking this out. So I thought that was pretty cool. You know, I could pick up a little change from folks watching my videos and everything, and you know, that kind of made me examine what I was doing here on YouTube a little more, and to try and focus my content a little more, and also to create more like tutorials and tips and how I built things around my studio, stuff that could help out other people around the world rather than just me demonstrating some crazy box that I built. So I had like a wider spectrum of content that I was producing. And eventually, you know, it probably took 3 years for me to get a paycheck, which, as we all know, or maybe we don't all know, for folks that are signing up for AdSense, YouTube monetization, basically you don't actually see any money until you reach a $100 threshold. It took me a couple of years to get there, and I'm like, okay, cool. So I finally got a check for like $104, and I'm like, well, that's pretty sweet, you know. Like, told my wife about it, and she was like, oh, that's pretty cool, you know. Like, not a whole lot of money, but just a little incentive, a little something, a little carrot at the end of the stick, a little something for me to chase, and that's, you know, pretty fun. Just gives me a new level of engagement with the process. So I had, you know, my channel rolling. I'd make some videos, do some gear demos, make a video on how to build bass traps in my studio or whatnot. Then YouTube changed their partnership scheme again, and pretty much everyone was allowed to be a partner. I'm like, okay, that's cool. So anyone can just sign up for YouTube, no history, no anything like that, and get monetization. Good for them, you know. Doesn't affect me. I can still make videos. I can still collect 12 cents a day or whatever on my videos, and it was cool. There were probably a couple of adjustments in there over the years I honestly didn't pay much attention to, because from my end, stuff was still kind of working the way it had always worked. And I would go through phases where I would be more creative and have more output, and then it would slack off when other life stuff got in the way, because obviously this isn't my full-time job. It's just kind of something I do every now and again. Rewind it back to like 6 months ago, then YouTube sort of reinstituted the minimum threshold again, and it was 10,000 views. A lot lower that time. 10,000 views. Like, okay, well, that's cool. Like, you can still put some videos up if you have something worth seeing, or if you have enough videos that that resonate with your audience, then you'll get that threshold pretty quick, and you can monetize and make your 6 cents a day or your $4 a month or whatever it comes out to. Again, not a living for most of us doing this, but just a little incentive, a little extra pocket money to maybe buy a new toy once a year or something like that. So yeah, waking up to today and to find out that despite the fact that I have met their subscriber threshold, I haven't met the watch time threshold. So I sort of went back and did the math looking at my analytics. I'm not a big numbers analytics guy. Like, it's kind of cool that we can look at that information and see, but I'm just going to pull this up and look at it here. So I looked up my lifetime statistics, and this is pretty amazing. Like, I'm totally amazed that the videos I've put together have reached as many people, and huge thanks to everyone that's paid attention, because it's really kind of, stuns me, but also makes me feel like I'm reaching a few people in the world that are into crazy noise machines and techno music and that end of the spectrum that I am. So, I've had over 721,000 video views over 10 years. That's pretty amazing. That's 750,000 people almost have laid eyes on my mutterings and ramblings and gear button pushing, fader throwing nonsense. Had almost 1,000 comments on my videos, over 3,000 likes on my videos. People have added my videos to playlists over 2,000 times, so that they're sharing my content with other people that might be interested in this as well. That's amazing. I'm humbled, and I'm so incredibly happy to be a part of a community that sees value in what I'm doing, and that I can add something to them or show them a new trick or technique or skill that that might be relevant to their situation. Again, I have over 1,200 subscribers. Pretty amazing that people want to see what I'm doing on a Friday night after my wife and my kid go to bed, when I'm down here in my home studio just tweaking some knobs and pushing some buttons to make some noise that I like. So yeah, again, thanks to everyone that's checked it out over the years. We'll see how the next month goes, whether I meet the viewing time threshold before the cutoff date in another month. If I make it, cool. If not, I'll still be making some videos. I might consider other platforms at that time, but I just want everyone to know that's been along for the ride. I do appreciate every person out there that's laid eyes on my videos, or given me a thumb up, or even a thumb down, and told me, yeah, this is cool because I wanted to know how this machine sound like, or no, that machine sucks, like this one's way better. Like, I appreciate the interaction and the feedback, and being part of that community. So thanks to you guys, the viewers, and hopefully the other small YouTubers can carry on with your channel, and maybe YouTube as a whole will reconsider this policy, so that that just some average dudes like me have a little more incentive to keep at it and to keep providing stuff. So thanks for checking it out. The best way to support me, if you feel so inclined, is to check the description below. I have a link to my Bandcamp site for my record label, Anode Records. I've been making techno records for 20 years, vinyl, digital. I have some free downloads, stickers, buttons. If you want to throw some money my way that way, I would greatly appreciate it. Thanks, people. Peace.